Should I pause at the top of my backswing, or should I just make a smooth transition and go all out for it? That's the question in today's video. Hey everybody, welcome back to Golf Test Dummy, the channel where I use my game to help your game. I've got the handy dandy notebook and pen with me today because I'm going to conduct a test. We're going to put a no pause golf swing against a golf swing with what I would call a noteworthy pause, at least in terms of feel. It may not show up on camera as much, but I want to try and make several swings with several different clubs using these two approaches and measure and chart any difference that I see between those. We're going to check for three things. We're going to check for the carry distance. The carry distance on each one of these clubs on average out of 5 shots. We're going to check the quality of strike. We're going to rate between 1 and 10 for each one of those 5 shots. A quality of strike rating is basically how I feel the quality of strike was, and then we're going to take an average of that. And then the direction. How close were we to the intended target line, which would be, for me, going right down the center. Pitch and wedge, 7-iron, 5-iron, and driver. Let's just see where the chips fall. I don't really know how this is going to work out. I feel like in the past, when I've added a pause to my swing, that it really does improve my consistency in strike, but I've never really tried to quantify and put numbers to those feelings. So today I want to find out, in the real world, in reality, does the pause actually help my swing? I may be just as surprised as you are when we get to the end of this. Let's get started. Now, a couple of things I'll note. I'm not going to show you every shot. There's going to be a total of 40 shots. This would be a 3-hour Kevin Costner type video, so I'm not going to show you every shot. I will show you a few of the choice shots. But another thing that I want to do to try and keep this as fair as possible is I want to hit one shot with the pitching wedge with no pause, and then after that, I'll hit a shot with the pitching wedge with a pause, and I'll alternate back and forth and back and forth. I'm going to get started and do no pause, pitch and wedge. And that's not too bad of contact to start out with, and it's only a little bit offline. So I'll chart that distance and keep going from there. Pitching wedge done and dusted. The results are in. So the no pause swing, I felt like, I don't know, there was something when I was trying to mentally go through and not have a pause. I'm trying to constantly be moving throughout the transition. There was something about focusing my intention in that way that made a lot of the strikes feel not so great. And it came out to be an average carry with the pitching wedge and no pause of 115.4 yards. I gave the quality of strike a 5 out of 10 because there were a few in there that were decent strikes. And then the standard direction, what I would call deviation from center line, came out to be about 4.8 yards. The pause swing instantly, I felt like I had a little bit more time for the club to make a transition. I didn't feel rushed. I didn't feel hurried. I felt a little bit smoother with it, and the total distance went up to 119.4 average carry, which is a difference of about 4 yards. The quality of strike was a 7 out of 10. I really was borderline giving it an 8 out of 10. Again, these are just based on my feels. The direction was 4.4 yards off of targets. Now let's move on to the 7-iron. I'm really curious to see, as we progress through the 7 and the 5 and the driver, is the driver going to be like this, or is it going to be something completely out of left field? Typical 7-iron carry for me is around, I think, 160, 165, in that range conservatively, depending on what day it is. It's kind of cold out here. I might get that average carry up to 170 when it warms up a little bit, but for right now, I'm looking for that 160 to 165 range. So we'll start out here first with the no pause swing. Quality of strike a little bit down on that one. It's a touch thin, a little bit low on the face, but I mean, it kind of carried right down the line. Let me get this written down real fast before it goes away. 155. Well, I got a little more offline, I believe, but it's drawing back to the center line. Definitely a better quality of strike and feel to that one, and I'm guessing that's going to be a little bit longer distance. Yeah, 159. Okay, I gotta say, I'm a little bit surprised with the 7-iron. First of all, no pause. The total carry distance average of those 5 shots was 152 yards. That is below what I would normally consider my 7-iron standard carry to be. Again, it is a little chilly out here today, so take from that what you will. The quality of strike, I gave it a 5 out of 10 on this one. Again, just kind of like the pitch wedge. I had some thin shots. I had some that just, you can tell when it feels like it's really solid. Standard deviation on this one was 5. And with the pause, all of a sudden the distance jumps 10 yards to a total average carry of 162 with the 7-iron. Same cold garage, same club, same golf ball, same swing, just an unhurried swing with a pause at the top that allows that little extra beat to transition the club down to the golf ball properly. I think that's what's really making the difference. And the quality of strike, I had to go 8 out of 10 on this. 8 out of 10 on the quality of strike. I felt like the strikes were really much more solid, and the direction was 4.7, so it actually had a little bit better standard deviation. The 5-iron is coming up. Now, the 5-iron for me, and probably a lot of you out there, it may be one of those clubs that is a little bit inconsistent. Maybe it's tougher for you to get that club off the ground if you don't have club head speed. It's harder to get the ball to come off the ground. The setup's got to be just right. It's a little bit more temperamental club. Really anxious to get to the driver and see what happens, because if what's happening between the pitch and wedge and the 7-iron, I'm getting more and more distance with the pause as the clubs go up, then by the time I get to the driver, I'll be averaging 338 yards, and it's going to be awesome. Just like the rest of them, we're going no pause first, 5-iron in hand. Ooh. Okay, let me preface the 5-iron category by saying this. Both of the different types of swings that I'm using, I had some good and I had some not so great. The 5-iron is a more difficult club. It's a less lofted club. It's a more difficult club for a lot of the average and amateur golfers out there like myself to be able to strike well and consistently. So I'll just say that there were good and bad with both of these. And for that reason, both of these got a 6 out of 10 on the quality of strike. It was kind of a mix. No pause was at 176 yards average carry. 5-iron distance on the pause swing, where I added in a pause, you get 5 more yards on average out of this one at 181 average. Now, again, the direction on these was a little bit more erratic. Now, let's get into the driver. I have really been waiting to see how we get along with driver to see if the pause will make a difference. Will I gain yardage? Will I gain accuracy? Will I gain quality of strike with the driver and hit the face in the center more to give myself a little bit more yardage off the tee if I add in the pause? Let's get going. Driver time. We're going no pause first. Same setup as we had in the previous clubs. No transition time. Let's go. All right. That's a pretty good quality of strike, I would say, to start there. There's driver, and spoiler alert, I did not carry around 300 yards, which damn, I really thought, well, that's a shocker. Anyway, the driver average distance with no pause was 223 yards. Now, I would also add that the difference between the top and the bottom of those those drives, the top end was 236 and the low end was 219, or excuse me, 212. So that is a difference of 24 yards in between those. It was a lot more erratic. My average directional distance away from the center line was 9.2, and I gave the quality of strike a 6 out of 10. Now, the driver distance with a pause goes up 5 yards to 228 yards. It's not that great, really. I mean, I've been averaging a carry distance of in the 235, 237 range. So again, maybe it's the cold out here or something, but the quality of strike with this one went up to 7 out of 10. And again, looking at the top, which the longest drive I had with that was 233, and the shortest drive I had was 220. So that's only a 13-yard difference between top and bottom. So the consistency was there more with the driver when I included the pause. I felt like I could relax more into it. I felt like I could keep, a lot of people talk about keeping your hips backward in the swing, trying to keep them away from the golf ball instead of letting them come into the golf ball and standing up. I feel like with that pause, that really allows me to keep my hips back a little bit more in transition and to make a smoother transition from the top, which I think improves my quality of strike. Might even increase my club head speed a little bit to stay in posture more like that. So that could be leading to the difference between these two. At the end of the day, I thought that no pause would definitely be worse off than if I include the pause. I felt like this entire time that throwing that little pause in there was going to be producing a better product. And now I've done the test and the numbers. They're not lying. There is a fairly substantial and significant difference between adding that little pause in my swing. Not necessarily that it's going to help you with your swing. However, it is something that you should definitely look into. And if you're trying to find a little bit more consistency, a little bit more distance, maybe try adding in a little pause. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.